So Future's growth strategy is around being a global platform for specialist media. What we aim to do is run a diversified business model. So we take one piece of content and we monetize it multiple ways. So we operate the business in two divisions, the media division and the magazine division. And the media division, the three revenue streams are display advertising, e-commerce and events. And then in the magazine division, it's news trade, subscriptions and advertising. So what we're aiming to do is write one piece of content and then monetize it as many times as possible through all of those different revenue streams. We aim to achieve organic growth, particularly through the media division, where we're growing e-commerce, events and display advertising at a relatively high rate. And we also operate a buy and build model where we can buy content assets and bring them into the Future model and aim to monetize them more ways than the original business was doing. So, for example, we bought the home interest portfolio across the summer, which was a nice business in its own right, 7 events, 3 magazines, and some small magazine websites. And then that's growing nicely, and then what we think we can do is add more revenue streams. So we can add licensing, we can add more digital advertising, we can add e-commerce to those content assets that we acquired. So Future operates a diversified business model, both in the number of revenue streams that we have, but also in the verticals in which we operate. So we now operate in 7 different verticals, which are technology and gaming, which are our biggest, as well as home interest, which we recently added, creative and photography, music, knowledge, and also field sports. We also have a number of super brands within those verticals. So Tech Radar is one of our biggest online brands, as well as PC Gamer. We also operate the home building and renovating show and the photography show. Content monetization, as I mentioned, is around taking one piece of content and then monetizing it in multiple ways. So we'll tend to write one article which then can appear in a magazine, but then we'll also put it online. So the magazine monetization is around news trade and subscriptions largely, some advertising in some of the magazines, although we've migrated a lot of that online. So then online, the monetization is through digital display advertising, e-commerce, and then also we have a revenue through events. Future has relatively high conversion of EBITDA to cash with strong adjusted free cash flows. In this year, we actually achieved 160% conversion of EBITDA to cash, which is perhaps not what we would plan to achieve going forward. So our go forward target is around 80 to 100% conversion. But as we have a mix of different revenue streams, they all have different working capital dynamics. So, for example, the events will start taking the revenue in a year in advance, and subscriptions sometimes a year, sometimes 3 months in advance. We also have found that as our revenue from digital display advertising has moved more towards programmatic, that cash comes in much more quickly. So we started to benefit from that in the year. Similarly, with e-commerce, some vendors will take up to 128 days to pay us, whereas some of the others will come in within 10 days. So that's one of the factors which has helped contribute to that positive working capital swing in the year. The things which I personally am most excited around are continuing to develop the home interest acquisition that we completed on the 1st of August. So we're 4 months in. We completed on Sunday the final element of the integration. So we're now fully focused on the increase in monetization. So we went live with realhomes.com, our new home interest website, a couple of weeks ago, and we're very much aiming to build the audience on that site as well as the monetization to give us a big opportunity in FY19 and beyond. The other area that we're really focusing on this year, we think is a significant opportunity, is around more effective monetization of our US audience. So around 40% of our audience is in the US, only 20% is in the UK, whereas we monetize the UK at a much higher rate than we do the US audience. So if we can monetize the US at only the same rate as the UK, that's quite a material opportunity. And then it tends to have a virtuous circle effect, because as we find that we're localizing the content to make it more appropriate to that audience, that tends to build the audience and build out scale. So we see that as our number one priority for this year alongside home interest.